Hello again, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Because They Matter. I'm Scott, along with Rhiannon and Stacie. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good. Doing great.
And hello out there in Never Land, up there in Illinois. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Well, we're doing pretty well. Down here in the great state of Texas, it's finally cooled down a bit, Rhiannon. And
it?
It's not as chilly as Illinois, but it's been great. So
we're starting to see leaves on the ground. It's about 60 degrees here, so we're getting ready for winter.
Yeah, understand. I remember those days when I was in college at the University of Rochester, and it got kind of chilly up there. So I understand what you're saying. Well, I tell you what, Stace, why don't you bring our audience up to date on what we're going to be talking about today?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about each of our stories and
our
backgrounds.
Personal stories.
Yes, right?
Right.
And so everybody's kind of got to know each of us individually. And so we today are going to dig into actually what do we talk about when we get to meet a family or another person where our experiences
And we're talking about single-parent families, and that's when we say because they matter for somebody that has never seen, been a part of the show. That's what this is. And, of course, you created Single Parent Advocate, over 15 years ago, right?
It's over 15 years old.
It's unbelievable. And it's to help kiddos out there or single-parent families, moms, dads, a boy, a girl, whatever it might be.
That's right.
Just to let them know how important they are and how we all can be positive and productive in our life as we move forward and become adults.
That's right.
Yep. All right. We'll take it away then.
Okay. So Rhiannon and I both have been out into schools and out into different environments where we talk about, how do you actually put action items behind some of the words that people explain to you about parenting. For me, I was always, what does success look like, and success really looks different for multiple people.
And I think it's
really
important to let the audience know that you are a mom.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm a mom. I have a 25-year-old son. He's an actor and musical theater professional in Hawaii.
Very good.
Grew up in our home.
And Rhiannon, bring our audience up to date. You're not married as yet, right?
No. So I'm 23. I'm in grad school for social work, and I still live at home with my mom with this economy.
Right. And how did you get involved in single-parent families and what this is all about?
Yeah, well, I've grown up with my mother being the head of our household since I was 4 years old. And when I grew up and got involved in the Miss America opportunity, you have to have a platform. And I thought about what was really important to me and what I've gone through in my life and the struggles my mother and I have faced. And I realized there's not a lot of people that advocate for these single families. So that's when I founded 4 years ago, Single But Not Alone, advocating for single parent families. And it's just really taken off into wonderful things. And I'm so excited to be here and, talking to more single families.
Were you a single parent? I mean, a single child? No brothers, no sisters?
Yep, just me. Only child. Me and my mom and our golden retriever.
And his name?
Biscuit.
Biscuit. And where did he get?
Like the books.
I gotcha. Yep. So let me ask you, before we get back to Stacie and we move forward here, what's the best thing that, or maybe more importantly, what did you learn the most about being a single parent that you might share with the audience? Not a single parent, but a single child with a single parent. What was the part that you remember most? Maybe the toughest part, and to this day, the part that maybe you cherish more than most kids that didn't come from a single parent.
I'm really fortunate because my mom was always there for me. And she worked around my schedule. So she worked 3 jobs, but those 3 jobs worked all around my schedule. My school district, unfortunately, didn't have busing. So my mom would go and work at a bar all night to 2 a.m. And then she would get up at 6 or 7 a.m. and take me to school and then sleep during the day. So she would be able to be that active parent and involved in my life. So I'm really fortunate that she made those sacrifices for me. And as someone who wants to have a family someday, that's really something that I'll take into me with becoming a parent one day.
Interesting. And so how would you respond to what she said and how it worked into your situation? Because you grew up in a single-parent family and then, of course, became a mom of a single-parent, single-parent family. So what did you learn as a child growing up and then as an adult being a mom in a single-parent family?
I think what I would put in a nutshell is work hard. We all have to work hard on getting along and making things happen together as a family.
And don't give up.
and don't give up.
Right.
Yep.
Interesting. That makes all the sense in the world. Would you agree with that, Rhiannon?
Amen.
Amen. Okay. And so the message that if you were to say to someone, most important thing that you've got to know, you talk about not giving up and staying focused and being, but is there one thing that comes to mind, say, when you go to bed at night or when you get up in the morning, this is the one thing you have always got to remember?
Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. If you're a parent and you neglect yourself, there is sort of an equal and opposing force that kind of spills over into your child's life in that you can't take care of them as well. So self-care is so important, keeping our rest, keeping our energy, using our resources, and, having a light heart, letting bygones be bygones, stay safe, and move forward with hope and positivity.
Because they matter, the name of the show.
Yes,
Exactly
you matter
right.
as the parent, and your children matter.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Rhiannon, what you might add to what Stace just shared with us?
I really resonated with what you said about the power of hard work. Like I said, I watched my mom work those 3 jobs, and that instilled in me, if I want to be successful in my future, that I need to work just as hard as she does. And I truly believe if I wouldn't have had that great example, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I wouldn't be in grad school. I wouldn't be Miss Capital City, because she truly taught me what the value of hard work is here in America.
What have you had to do as Miss Capital City that would in any way, shape, or form share with the audience about single parent family, single parent child, just because they matter? What we're all about here in this program.
One of my favorite things that I get to do as Miss Capital City is I get to visit classrooms, and whether that's a kindergarten classroom, middle school classroom, and I think this leads a little bit into our discussion today. I have a success plan curriculum that I'm able to share with those students, and being able to set up thousands of students in the state of Illinois for success so they can be successful in their futures has probably been one of my biggest impacts as Miss Capital City.
Fantastic. And you mentioned that you're in grad school and you're studying social work, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So you're going to kind of continue what you're a part of right now, excuse me, and just move forward.
Yes, I'm excited to make a career out of my passion, and if it wasn't for, my partnerships with Single Parent Advocate and the Miss America Opportunity, I wouldn't be doing social work because I wouldn't know how passionate I am for working with single families.
Very good. Well, Stace, you're kind of the cheerleader, the driver of this ship each and every week. So what is it that you really want to focus on this week that Rhiannon and I can share with the audience along with you? What looks good?
Well, we're talking about success, and to me, I think success can always be something that seems a little bit fleeting, and also, as we talk about, different for everyone. And so I have a success plan, and Rhiannon just mentioned she has a success plan for kids and parents. And it really kind of helps us to take the words and turn them into things to do and not do that can hopefully build lives not only with, a heavy load, but also making happy memories and a positive legacy for us and our children to at least have some kind of roadmap, right?
Right.
And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, that's great because it's a tough world out there. Somebody shared a statistic, and I have not been able to find this information as to whether this is legit or not, but that over 50% of the population right now is getting divorced. And if that is, I just was totally blown away by that statistic. I thought, well, maybe 25, 1 out of every 4, but 50. And I don't know what percentage of those were families with children. Young children. Do you know, Rhiannon? Anything come to mind? Have you, Stace? Have you heard that's legit?
Yeah, no, that is definitely legit.
It is. So it's over 50%.
Over 50% of marriages do encounter divorce, but single parenting is a little bit different compared to. Divorce, I talk about this a lot. Families end up parenting alone for different reasons. It's not just divorce. There can be the death of a spouse or a disability that comes upon people that really, really causes separation. There's people who work very, very hard to fight for making good decisions that might be tough, that lead to single parenting, tough decisions too. So death, divorce, disease, disability decisions, and then there's disasters, So if you really take a look at the makeup of, the households that 1 in 4 children are being raised in America today, you're looking at a lot of loss. And so families are facing, great emotional tolls. And so I always talk about, you get a deer in the headlights when you're kind of hit with one of those Ds, I call them, death, divorce, disease decisions, right? And so we don't know what to do. We're in shock. We're busily going about our business, focusing on the problem instead of the promise that could lie ahead of us. And that's what success to me is about. It's about what do you latch on to? What are the steps you take? Because some of us never saw success in our own, lives as children. Our parents may have struggled as well, and
didn't really know what success was.
Right. And so how do we build a legacy of real actionable ways that we can manage ourselves first and foremost, and then manage our lives for the best possible outcomes for ourselves, because we matter, and then for our kiddos because they matter.
Makes sense, Rhiannon?
And I think it's important too. I really resonated with how you talked about the different types of single parents. That can be grandparents also, or working with one of my partnerships here in Illinois. Also, I was able to visit a group of students, and there was 3 boys being raised by an older brother because both of the parents weren't involved at all. So a lot of times a single parent isn't even the one who was involved in being the parent. It can be the grandparents, or it can be an older sibling or a cousin, an aunt, uncle. A lot of times they're playing that role of a parent also.
There's another thing that's going on in the U.S. today, is that people are becoming single parents by choice. They don't want to be married. They want to have a family, but they don't want the pressure of having to have the wrong spouse. With 50% of marriages ending in divorce, some people are just choosing to skip that part and become a single foster parent.
Good idea or not a good idea?
I think it's different for everybody. You can't really judge. If you choose single parenting as a path, single parenting by choice, it is usually very, very important to make sure that you use your resources. And that's some of the stuff we'll be digging into with successful single parenting.
I just wondered if the commitment is there, though, on the part of both the mom and the dad, not to come together, as historically we have known what a marriage is they come together and they... I just wondered if that's the role model that you want your children to be a part of. That you don't have to get married, you don't have to do this. Hey, just come on, we're going to do this and have some kids and then move on.
Well, one of the things I talk about a lot, and this is not meaning to be answering you indirectly, but I talk about not comparing. We don't need to always compare our type of family to other types of families. It creates a really big hole in our hearts when we think we're broken just because we've become a single parent family by choice or by situation. So comparing a single parent family as to a married family or a couple that is co-parenting together is, not always really fair and not always really healthy.
Okay. I'm listening to everything that you're both saying, and not that what I grew up in is being better, but it certainly was more, it was more positive. I had 2 of the greatest parents on the face of the earth. To this day, they were my role models. I had to write a magazine article the other day, and they asked me about my parents. How would you describe them? I said they were my role models. They said, "Are you serious, both of them?" I said, "Yes." My mother knew she was a concert pianist and a registered nurse, and my dad was a biochemical engineer. Worked at times with NASA and things like that. He just was, but they told me from the time, I remember, I've said this before, I think you've heard me say this, my dad and I would go out and play, I love sports and he liked sports, and so we'd go out in the backyard. After I got all my homework done, I had to always have my homework done before we did any practicing in the backyard, but he'd throw me ground balls with a baseball, and if I bobbled one or something, or if he threw me the football and I dropped it, and I'd get frustrated, I might have been 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years old, but I go, oh, and I just, I'd get frustrated, and my dad would simply say, "It's all right. It's all right. You can get it because you can. You can get it. You'll do it again. This time you're going to catch it." But every morning, my parents, and I still, not as much, but to this day, I taught my own children this. Go to the bathroom every morning you get up, and you look in the mirror, and he or she looking back at you is the most important person on the planet. And that person is the one that's going to control the decisions that you make today. Now, you're not going to be in total control of everything that happens in your life, but you're going to make good decisions, hopefully, with the knowledge and the positivity that you have in your life, that this is what's right, and you do it with they called it the trifecta of T's, truthful, trustworthy, and transparent, and you move forward in a positive, productive way. But every day you look in that mirror, give that person a thumbs up, give them a smile, because that's the one that controls who you are and what you're all about. And it's funny to this day, and I share that message. When I won my degrees in psychology, I was fascinated with some of the things, and I was studying to be a pediatrician before I got spent 30 years as a news anchor. But I just it's funny how things happen. But that was because of my parents. They always were there to pat me on the back and say, "It's okay. We're going to get it right. We'll get it right. It's going to be tough, but we're going to get it right because you can."
That's right. And, that message can flow from, a two-parent household and from a single-parent household. A lot of times, I think single parents automatically discount themselves because they feel labeled as broken.
Yeah,
but
and they should not.
They should not.
They should not at all.
And going off that too, I really love the saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
A lot of times it's not mom and dad who's watching your child when you're at work and things of that nature. It truly does take a village to raise that child. And I think I know you mentioned a lot of people these days are just taking the route of being a single parent. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because there's truly so many different families out there nowadays, and a loving home is a great home.
That's right. Whatever that balance is, where there is peace, where there is positivity, where there is productivity, happy, healthy, whole, and hopeful moms and dads create.
It's so much better than a home with abuse in it, or just a stressed out home is so much better than have just the one parent.
Absolutely. And that's what we really were hoping to dig into, Scott. So great job setting us up.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
So success, so when I go out, and Rhiannon, and you guys jump in, but just to kind of put the topic on the table, when I go and talk, I'd always talk about my side of the coin as the parent in the household first, because if I'm not taking care of myself, I cannot take care of others. And how do I get myself over this form of loss or tough decisions that I've had to make and into a position of really building a bridge to the future and taking my eyes off of the things that were tough, the things that I need to lay down in order to be able to pick up the healthier and happier things, right? And so I talk a lot about the 3 legs of my stool. And so you want me to share that?
Oh, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So part of laying down those things that weigh us down for me was learning to love even though I did not feel like I received love. So love even though love is not what you have received. And so sometimes that meant, so my ex is not paying child support. Okay, that's not very loving, right? And we didn't, I didn't know what had happened. So I need to work that problem, but I need to go ahead and love anyway and not get bitter. Like really breaking it down, laying the bitterness down, laying the fear down, using my resources, and making sure that if I do need to have a conversation with somebody who's a difficult person, that it's not filled with negative words and negative vibes as much as possible. And so love for me, when love is not what you have received, I talk about laying down fear, laying down possessiveness. A lot of times possessiveness is based on fear. And then also understanding emotions are not everything, right? And trying to be intentional. Love is a decision. It's not always an emotion.
Do you agree?
Yeah, going off that a little bit, it's so funny because before Stacie and I even met, we both had these in line about success, and then we partnered together, and she was like, well, I have this success plan or acronym, and I was like, oh, well, I actually do that in schools too. So it's a really unique situation because it seems that Stacie really focuses more on kind of the parents, but when I go into schools, I have my success plan curriculum where I'm setting students up for success, and on that plan, it talks about how they're going to be involved in activities, how they're living a healthy lifestyle, and how they're taking care of their mental health, which is combating statistics saying that they'll drop out of school, that they'll be addicted to substances, and different things in that nature.
So that's really powerful. Success takes a team, takes a village, just like Rhiannon said. But success also starts in our hearts. In our brains, garbage in, garbage out, right? What you put in is what you get on the outside. And so that's why I, on my 3 legs of my stool, begin with love. That's a challenge to myself. I don't care how unfair it was. It's just there, right? It needs to be dealt with, but then we need to move on in love. So that's the first leg of my stool. Second leg of my stool, you ready? Help yourself so you can help others. So a lot of times single parents are strapped for time, strapped for money, strapped for a lot of different things. And they feel incomplete, as we kind of talked a little bit about before. And then also, having kind of like one arm tied behind their back. They're like a one-arm paper hanger, if you've ever heard that said, And so a lot of times, I think we get stuck in the thought pattern that we don't really have anything to offer as a single mom or dad or grandparent or aunt. We really just have to try to get through, and we just don't often have money to contribute, and we don't often have time to contribute. But the promise behind contributing for me is what we have to gain, and that is emotional healing. It's validation, it's self-worth. When we get out there and give, we really receive, right? Do we all agree on that? So people in your life, you might not be able to go and do a lot of funding for them or help them with a lot of things, but you can offer encouragement. You can experience knowledge and gain stuff by helping people in your community. One thing I always told my son, it does not cost us anything to go out and volunteer together, because when we go out and volunteer together and use our talents and give them away, what happens when we do that is we have the quality time together. We have the ability to make new friends and make new resources for our family. And then we also get to do a lot of realization that what we are is what we have to offer. It's not just our money. It's not just what we can do. It's who we are. And getting that when we do our giving projects as a family really helps. So never discount yourself that you have nothing to offer, because chances are you do. You have so much to offer, but you don't see it yourself.
Being a difference maker.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I've often said, and you've heard this a million times. I used to close a radio show with this. Live your life as a go-getter. We've been told that over and over. Be a go-getter, but share your life as a go-giver. And that's what's important. That's what you've got to do. And all too often, we don't do that. It doesn't matter who I can't do that, or I don't have the money, as you just alluded to a moment ago. You don't have to have the money. All you have to have is the commitment to want to be a difference maker and care about something. You don't need the cash. All you have to do is care, and then you can get it done.
Absolutely.
And I think on top of that, too, it also costs nothing to be kind. So, for example, if you're in the store and someone's like $1 short on something, I would be the first person to, put that dollar forward. Or just little acts of kindness, holding the door for someone that, they might be having the worst day of their life, and you might put a smile on their face just because you made that act of kindness. I think that's really important, too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, our world is not like it used to be.
No.
Not the one that you grew up, as young as you might be, or the world that we grew up. That's my Leadership America keynote that I share. Creating champions of change through a culture of civility. because people are no longer kind, courteous, and respectful. And that's what we have to be. You have to just, all you have to do is drive down the highway and somebody's going to flip you off, as they say, and let you know what your IQ is. I mean, come on, folks. Let's be kind, courteous, and respectful. And,
there's no patience anymore.
No, it's really kind of sad. You're absolutely right. Rhiannon's spot on.
Yep. And then, just kind of closing that down, when we help other single parents and other families like our own, sometimes we learn from each other, and so doing like a babysitting co-op or exchanging clothes and toys and carpools, these are things that, we can use our minds to create a sort of I looked at it as sort of an economy of help for our families and people like us in our personal lives.
Well, you are the two that have endured what we're talking about here today. So let me step aside here just for a second and say we've got less than 4 minutes left. So why don't you take a minute and a half or so, the closing message that you would like our audience to take home from this program. What comes to mind for you?
Well, I would just say, let go of the negatives and latch on to the positives. Make sure you have a lot to offer just by being who you are and getting out there and talking with communities and other families like your own. And then, the whole end goal is to leave a positive and productive legacy for ourselves and our kids to look back on, right? And so we want to create a place of personal treasures and security and significance for ourselves. And when we do that for ourselves, we do that for our children.
Right. Absolutely. It just flows down to the next generation. Rhiannon, what comes to mind for you? What's the closing message, the closing thoughts that you would like to share with our audience as to what the take-home might be today?
My goal with the success plans is I want more students to feel like they are supported and ready for their futures. And that's why when I visit those classrooms, when they're living a healthy lifestyle, they're less likely to get addicted to drugs and alcohol. When they're involved in sports, they're more likely to graduate. And when they're taking care of their mental health, they're more likely to move forward and get positive jobs in the field that they want. So that's really my message when I visit as Capital City is even if all these odds and statistics are against you, saying you're not going to finish school, you're going to suffer from mental illnesses, and you're going to be addicted to substances, that if you follow your success plan and stay involved, that you can beat those odds and statistics just like I did.
And my message would be, don't give up. Believe in yourself. And despite what anybody might call you or bully their way all over you, that's their issues. Those are their problems. You just believe in yourself and do it in a positive, productive way.
Absolutely. Build a world around you. I always called it, I'm building my garden. Yep. This is my garden, and only pretty happy plants are allowed in that.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Totally. Rhiannon?
Thank you. It was great to talk about this. I love that we're opening up the discussion to make parents and children more successful, even if they don't come from single-parent households.
That's right.
Absolutely. Be a difference maker. That's what it takes.
And then we're going to have part 2 of success here. So tune in for the next program, and we'll dig into even more.
Name of the program, Because They Matter. So for Rhiannon in Illinois and Stacie here in the great state of Texas, I'm Scott saying stay strong, be positive, never give up, and believe in yourself every single day. Till next time, stay well.